start off singing. Everybody can sing along.
Yeah, okay, Dave.
One, two. You know what to do. Minnesota, 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 Minnesota. Oh, to go to Minnesota, that is where I'd like to be. You get lots of everything. Your winter underwear is free in Minnesota, 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 Minnesota. They work all day in Minnesota, and at night they sleep till dawn, or if they like, they work all night, and then they sleep the whole day long in Minnesota, 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 Minnesota. Take it, Ron.
I got her, Dave.
Like a happy life, in Minnesota you should go. In summer you got lots of fun, in winter you got lots of snow. In Minnesota, 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 Minnesota. And they ended on time.
Yeah, there they did then. Yeah.
Hi, I'm sitting here today with Ron Arsenault. He's going to read Betsy-Tacy. We're at the bottom of Sumner Hill, which is also known as the Big Hill.
And I'm going to read chapter 11. I used to read these books when I taught third grade to my third graders and fourth graders. And as a little boy, I never read them very often, but I read them to my kids because when I moved to Mankato, this meant a lot to read things about our town. So I tried to read them as often as I could to the kids, and this is chapter 11 from Betsy-Tacy, Maud Hart Lovelace. The Buggy Shed. Betsy and Tacy liked to ride home with Betsy's father, or Tacy's. Along about sunset, they would walk to the foot of Hill Street Hill and wait. Sometimes they rode up the hill with Mr. Ray, and sometimes with Mr. Kelly. Always they rode around to the barn and helped to feed and water the horse, and saw straw put down for his bed, and the buggy rolled into the buggy shed. During the day they liked to play in Betsy's buggy shed. It was dark, and it smelled of hay and oats from the barn, which stood right beside it. When old Mag was in the barn, they could hear her chewing oats and stamping flies, but she wasn't often there. She was gone to the store, and so was the buggy. Only the surrey was left in the buggy shed for Betsy and Tacy to play with. The surrey had 2 seats and a canopy edged with fringe. There was a pocket in one corner for the whip, and a dust robe to spread on their laps. It was used mostly on Sundays when the family went to church, or took a picnic to the river, and on summer evenings when they sometimes went riding while their bedrooms cooled off after the heat of the day. "Shall we sit in the front seat or the back?" asked Tacy now, as she and Betsy climbed in. "Well, the front seat," said Betsy, for children usually sat in the back, so Betsy and Tacy sat in the front seat, and Betsy picked up the whip. Tacy tucked the robe around them, although it was a very warm day. "Get up," said Betsy, cracking the whip. "Don't go too fast," said Tacy. "I won't," said Betsy. "I think too much of my horse." That was what her father said, so she knew it was the proper thing to say. Through the open door of the buggy shed, they could see Big Hill. It was pleasantly green with an arc of blue above it. "See things fly past?" said Betsy. "Streets and houses and things." "Where are we going?" asked Tacy. "To Milwaukee," said Betsy. "Goody," said Tacy. That's the place I want him most of all to see. Well, you're going there now, said Betsy, and she cracked the whip again. Tuck up good, she said. Did we bring a lunch? Asked Tacy. Yes, said Betsy, it's under the seat. There are chicken sandwiches and hard-boiled eggs and potato salad and watermelon and chocolate cake and sweet pickles and sugar cookies and ice cream. It ought to be plenty, Tacy said. They went down Hill Street to Broad Street, where the churches and the library and the big houses were, and they turned from Broad Street to Front Street, where the stores were. They went past the office where Tacy's father sold sewing machines and past the store where Betsy's father sold shoes. But they didn't stop. We haven't time, said Betsy. They went on down to Front Street to the big mill at the end. The big mill blew the whistle for 6 o'clock in the morning and 12 o'clock noon and 6 o'clock at night. It wasn't blowing any whistles now. Betsy and Tacy rode past it. They rode up Front Street and out of town of Deep Valley. They were out in the country now. I think it's time for our lunch, Tacy said. Yes, it is, said Betsy. We'll stop here beside this lake. So they stopped beside a lake, and they let old Mag's check rain down so that she could drink. And Betsy and Tacy sat down in the shade and opened their picnic basket. Oh, I just love chicken sandwiches, said Betsy. This ice cream is good, said Tacy. It hasn't melted a bit. We must be careful not to squirt this watermelon, Betsy said. Yes, said Tacy. We forgot to bring any napkins. When they had finished eating, they climbed back into the surrey and they rode and rode and rode. I see Milwaukee, Betsy said after a while. Do you? Asked Tacy. Where? See those towers way, way off, Betsy said. And when they had come closer, she said, it looks like the cities on my Sunday school cards with that wall and all those towers. That's right, said Tacy. I see palm trees. The people will wear red and blue nightgowns like they do on Sunday school cards, most likely, said Betsy. Maybe there will be camels, said Tacy. Of course there'll be camels. I think I see a camel's head now, sticking around. There was a head sticking around the side of the buggy shed door, but it didn't belong to a camel. It belonged to a little boy named Tom. Hello, he called out doubtfully. What are you doing here? Betsy asked. My mother brought me. She came on an errand. Oh, well, you can play with us if you want to. What are you playing? We're going on a trip in this surrey. Where to? He asked, coming in. Betsy hesitated, and Tacy didn't speak either. They liked Tom, but boys were boys, and they didn't always understand. And Milwaukee was no ordinary city. Milwaukee was their secret. They had a song about it. Just going on a trip, said Betsy. Is there anywhere you'd like to go? Sure, said Tom. I'd like to go to St. Paul. I went there once, stayed at a hotel, and a man gave me a nickel. We went to St. Paul on a train, though. Do you think that horse could make it? He stared at the empty shafts. This horse is fine, said Betsy, and you may drive because you're company. So she and Tacy didn't get to Milwaukee that day after all. But they had a good time in St. Paul, and they stayed in St. Paul until Julia and Katie came to tell them that there were lemonade and cookies for the children under the butternut tree.
Got no blue shirt, fits me just fine. I like the way it feels, so wear it all the time. Got an old pair of boots, and they fit just right. all day, and I can dance all night. Got an old guitar, just won't stay in tune. Like to play it in a dark and empty room. Got an old used car that runs just like a top. I get the feeling it ain't ever gonna stop. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on a wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you can feel, the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Got a pretty good friend that's seen me at my worst. Can't tell if I'm a blessing or a curse, but he always shows up when the chips are down. That's the kind of stuff I like to be around. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on a wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you can feel, the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. There's a woman I love, she's crazy and she paints like God. Got a playground sense of justice, and she don't take odds. Got a tattoo with her name right through my soul. I think that everything she touches turns to gold. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on a wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you can feel, the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, kind of stuff you don't hang on a wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you can feel, the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Can I just see if I'm doing it?
What song is this by Eric?
What's the name of this? It's
First time in years?
First Time in Years.
First Time in Years, okay.
I think. There we go. One, two.
Going to the river, watch the water flow. It's coming down on the mountain. The ocean is going. Going to the country to see that girl of mine. She's coming down on the mountain. Yeah, the mountain way up high. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, despite all the tears. I'm feeling pretty good for the first time in years. Going into town to get myself a drink. I'm coming down off the mountain to have myself a think. Well, I've been working all winter. I'm working on a fence. Yeah, the borders I'm creating never making any sense. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, despite all my fears. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good for the first time in years. Sitting in my kitchen with the radio low, high up on the mountain, looking down below. I'm looking out my window at all the passers-by. Yeah, and it's 5 below zero right here in my mind. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, despite all my tears. I'm feeling pretty good for the first time in years. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, despite all my fears. I'm feeling pretty good for the first time in years. good.
That was just okay. It's just okay. I mean, you'll have to just do better next time
Yeah,
to
we're
play it.
trying.
But
We're
yeah,
trying really hard.
yeah.